CNN says people vaccinated against COVID-19 less likely to die from any cause, study finds. So now it's a super vaccine. By golly, we've found the Holy Grail. Or
you chose poorly.
Next, CNN will tell us a study finds the jab will give you superpowers.
You still think we're making you a superhero? So we make super slaves.
Bringing you what's ignored, sensationalized, unbalanced, misleading, or just plain false, here's your media malfeasance for the week. The Houston Chronicle seems to actually do a worthwhile fact check. President Joe Biden says people with COVID vaccination cannot spread it to you. This seems pretty cut and dry. False, right? No. Somehow they come up with a half-true determination. It says Biden's statement contradicts the position of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, that the CDC wrote that fully vaccinated people can spread the virus to others. But Biden saying this month that people with COVID vaccination cannot spread it to you is somehow half-true. That's like saying I'm half pregnant. Do we need to show them how this works?
It's true or false with Christy Lee.
And ignored by most of the media, he was once most frequently cited, but now many aren't interested in what this Yale epidemiologist has to say about jab mandates for children.
Organize with other parents to take them out of the school and create homeschooling environments. There's no choice. Your child's life is on the line. It's not a high risk. Vaccination is not a high risk that's going to kill every child by doing so. However, it's enough of a risk that on the average, the benefit is higher for homeschooling than it is for vaccination and being in school.
Never mind the FDA itself admitting they're using children as guinea pigs.
We're never going to learn about how safe the vaccine is unless we start giving it. That's just the way it goes.
And how is this for ironic? The Poynter Institute prides itself in preparing journalists worldwide to hold powerful people accountable and promote honest information in the marketplace of ideas. Yet this week it puts out an article to its eager and impressionable young journalists, encouraging them to be careful how they frame the death of Colin Powell, saying his death should not be framed as the death of a vaccinated person. Except it was the death of a fully vaccinated individual. It says to be sure to include Powell was immunocompromised. Did Poynter Institute encourage journalists to be sure to include the underlying conditions or if an unvaccinated person was immunocompromised? Why is Poynter Institute only concerned with making excuses for the vaccinated? The article concludes journalists will do a disservice if the story of his death is framed as the death of a vaccinated person. Isn't it a disservice and, better yet, unethical to purposely frame any story with the intention to influence the way your audience thinks? That sounds more like propaganda than journalism, Poynter Institute. Here's what the former CDC director has to say about vaccinated deaths.
I happen to be the senior advisor to Governor Hogan in the state of Maryland. In the last 6 to 8 weeks, more than 40% of the people that died in Maryland were fully vaccinated.
And I guess we're just supposed to ignore this as well. Illinois reports 77.7% of COVID deaths last week were vaccinated. Meanwhile, NPR notes that ERs are swamped with seriously ill patients, but most don't even have COVID. It says, even in parts of the country where COVID-19 isn't overwhelming the health system, patients are showing up to the ER sicker than they were before the pandemic. We are hearing from members in every part of the country, says Dr. Lisa Marino. The Midwest, the South, Northeast, West, they are seeing the exact same phenomenon. So there's more people showing up sicker than before the vaccine. Sounds like an immunity problem. Could it be lower antibodies?
Recipients of the Pfizer vaccine, those who've had 2 doses, have about 5 to 6-fold lower amounts of neutralizing antibodies. Now, these are the sort of gold standard private security antibodies of your immune system.
NPR doesn't make any note of that, or that dealing with the surge in the ERs is even more difficult with less staff due to the mandates. As long as we're talking about NPR, let's end with this piece about Facebook, with an interesting editor's note buried at the bottom. So an article about Facebook, sponsored by Facebook. And that's your media malfeasance for the week. For KLIM.News, I'm Christy Lee.